Welcome to the deep dive. We love to get into the weeds, and today we're going deep on presidential pardons.
Oh, yeah.
And, specifically, we're looking at the fallout from Biden's pardon of Hunter Biden.
Right.
And all the calls for even more pardons that it's kind of kicked off.
Yeah.
So to guide us through this, we're taking a look at a video analysis. It's titled in Arabic, So Enciende.
Oh, wow.
And I'll just say this right now. Get ready for some wild reactions.
Okay.
And maybe some unexpected alliances.
Oh, I love those.
Okay, so Biden's pardon of Hunter Biden, it really focused on two main things. First, there was that whole issue back in 2018 where Hunter checked that box on a gun form saying he wasn't using drugs at the time. And then the second part of the pardon was all about some late tax payments. That, for whatever reason, led to criminal charges. What are your thoughts on those charges?
So what's really interesting here is that no one else has ever been charged for that specific gun form issue. Yeah. And when it comes to taxes, those penalties are usually handled as civil matters.
Right.
Not criminal. So you can see why some people are looking at this and saying, that seems politically motivated.
Yeah, like why now? Why these?
Right.
And the reactions were immediate.
Oh, yeah.
And strong. Marjorie Taylor Greene didn't waste any time. She immediately started calling for Trump to issue blanket pardons for his supporters.
Wow.
And get this.
What?
She included herself in that call for pardons.
Now, that's a bold move. I mean, it kind of implies that maybe she thinks she's done some things that she might need to be pardoned for.
Raises some eyebrows for sure. And here's where things get even more interesting. Laura Loomer, who often clashes with MTG, actually agreed with her on this.
Wow. Talk about strange bedfellows.
Right. Okay, but these calls for blanket pardons, I think they get a whole lot more complicated. When you look at MTG's involvement with the January 6th insurrection.
Yeah, this is where things get really fascinating. And where I think we can see how these pardons could really impact the future of democracy.
So let's go back to those text messages that came out during the January 6th hearings.
Right.
We saw MTG was super involved in those planning meetings leading up to January 6th. And she even went so far as to advocate for martial law.
Right.
She actually set up a meeting at the White House with Trump, his legal team, and you're not going to believe this, members of the Electoral College who voted for Biden.
Really?
All just days before the insurrection.
Wow.
And then, of course, there were those texts to Mark Meadows urging him to tell Trump to declare martial law. So maybe we should back up for a second. What does that even mean, and how does it fit into all of this?
So martial law, basically it means suspending civil liberties and letting the military take over.
Wow.
It's a drastic move. Really serious implications, especially for a democracy like the United States. Even suggesting it is concerning, It makes you question the commitment to those democratic principles, to the peaceful transfer of power.
And there's even a video clip of MTG where she's talking about the possibility of Trump pardoning those involved with January 6th. And she's clearly excited about it.
Yeah.
And she uses this phrase, all of us. So she's seemingly lumping herself in with them. What do you make of that?
I mean, it's definitely an interesting choice of words, don't you think? Makes you wonder if maybe she thinks she needs a pardon for her involvement with what happened on January 6th.
It certainly seems that way. And it's a completely different take than Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, who was very critical of MTG's visit to the D.C. jail to meet with January 6th detainees.
Yeah, that visit was pretty symbolic, wasn't it? You can really see how differently these two sides view the events of that day.
Absolutely.
And the people involved.
Yeah.
Some see them as patriots. Others see criminals.
Right.
It just underscores how divided we are as a country when it comes to understanding what happened that day and how to move forward.
Yeah. And then there's this whole thing where MTG claims that the FBI raided Barron Trump's bedroom, but not Hunter Biden's.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
But what she seems to forget is that Hunter Biden was actually prosecuted by a Republican special counsel.
Yeah, that's a strange one. I mean, Hunter Biden was prosecuted, and the case against him was actually dismissed by a judge appointed by Trump himself.
Oh, wow.
And you want to know the reasoning for the dismissal? That judge said special counsels don't even exist.
Seriously, it's like the truth doesn't even matter anymore.
Yeah, it really makes you wonder about the motivations behind some of these narratives, Are they really looking for truth and accountability? Or is it more about pushing a certain agenda regardless of the facts?
Totally. And it gets even crazier. MTG is a big supporter of Kash Patel for FBI director. She's even said he needs to dismantle the FBI.
Oh, wow.
And this is where I start to get really concerned.
Yeah, if you look at the way people are talking about Patel and Chris Wray, the current FBI director, who, by the way, was appointed by Trump, it's night and day. Patel is painted as this guy who's going to come in with a sledgehammer and tear the FBI apart. But Wray, a lifelong Republican with an incredible track record, he's portrayed as some deep state agent.
Yeah, it's so black and white. It makes me nervous about what dismantling an institution like the FBI would even look like.
Right. And I think it goes beyond just the FBI.
Yeah.
We're seeing this broader trend of attacking and undermining any institution that doesn't agree with a certain political ideology.
It's like they just want to destroy anything they don't agree with.
Right. And it's a dangerous game.
Yeah.
Because it erodes public trust. It weakens our democracy.
And the thing is, Chris Wray, he's a highly qualified guy, long history of public service.
Absolutely.
But Patel, I mean, he's mostly known for pushing conspiracy theories.
Yeah, that's troubling. We have to think about the consequences of having someone like that in charge of the FBI. It's crucial.
So we were talking about the push to dismantle the FBI.
Yeah.
And I think it's really telling how that kind of talk just erodes trust. It's like they're trying to break down these institutions to make people lose faith in them.
It's a pattern, right? Create chaos, sow distrust.
Yeah.
Then it becomes so much easier to manipulate things and push a certain agenda. And the truth? Accountability. Those kind of go out the window.
And you can see that in a lot of the things MTG says.
Oh, yeah.
Like she said the FBI is going after Magi grandmas.
Oh, my gosh.
Who were at the Capitol on January 6th, but they're ignoring real threats like child sex trafficking.
I mean, come on. That's just playing on people's fears, right? It's inflammatory. And also, the FBI has a whole division focused on child exploitation. They're not ignoring it.
It's like she's just picking and choosing facts to fit her story.
Right. Exactly.
And she does the same thing when she talks about Chris Wray, the current FBI director.
Oh, yeah, the guy appointed by Trump.
Right. But she still paints him as some deep state puppet.
It's wild.
Yeah.
And it all goes back to what we were saying before. Attack, undermine, destroy anything that doesn't fit the ideology.
Yeah, it's scary.
Super dangerous. Erodes trust, weakens our democracy.
And it's not just the FBI, right? MTG has called for dismantling other agencies too, like the IRS.
Really? It's like she wants to tear the whole system down.
Yeah, but without any alternatives, you know?
Right. Think about it. These institutions, they're not perfect, but they keep things running.
Yeah.
They uphold the rule of law. We need them. So to just say destroy them without a plan, that's reckless.
It's like she's running on pure emotion.
It's all outrage, no logic, and that makes having any kind of real discussion about this stuff impossible.
Yeah, it's all about feelings, not facts.
Exactly. And that's how we ended up where we are, you know? Look at January 6th. Misinformation, conspiracy theories, they have real-world consequences.
For sure.
And that brings us right back to the pardons.
Okay.
Because when someone like MTG is out there saying blanket pardons for everyone involved in the insurrection, it's like saying those actions are okay, even though they challenge our democracy at its core.
And remember, she includes herself in those calls for pardons.
Right, which, you know, makes you wonder.
Yeah, what is she hiding?
Exactly. What does she need to be pardoned for?
Yeah.
Adds a whole other layer to this whole thing, doesn't it? Makes you think about the possibility of people abusing their power.
And this is far from over.
Oh, absolutely. This debate about pardons and politics, it's going to keep going.
Yeah.
And it's important that we keep talking about it, keep digging into what it all means. Because these events, they tell us a lot about where we are right now.
Yeah.
As a country, how divided we are, what challenges we face when it comes to protecting our democracy in this crazy polarized world.
There's one more thing I really want to get into before we wrap this up.
Okay.
The difference in how Biden and MTG view justice and accountability, it's night and day. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
All right, so we're back.
Yeah.
And I think we need to talk about the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Biden and MTG.
Yeah.
They have completely different ideas when it comes to justice and accountability.
It's pretty wild. Like, with MTG, it seems like loyalty trumps everything else.
Yeah.
Truth, accountability, who cares? As long as you're loyal to Trump, it's like she's totally in his corner, no matter what he does.
Right, and that's a problem, especially for someone in her position. It can really erode democratic norms.
Yeah, it normalizes bad behavior.
Exactly. And we've seen that, haven't we? I mean, think about how Trump attacked the media, the courts, tried to overturn the election.
And MTG was cheering him on the whole time.
It makes you wonder if she even believes in democracy.
Seriously. And her actions around January 6th, they're really concerning. Like, advocating for martial law, downplaying the violence.
Like she's saying it's okay to throw out the rules.
Yeah.
If you don't get the outcome you want.
And then she goes and visits the January 6th detainees.
Right, like she's trying to make them into martyrs.
It's a very different approach than Biden.
Totally. He seems much more focused on upholding the law.
Yeah, making sure people are held accountable. It doesn't matter what party they belong to.
Even the Hunter Biden pardon.
Yeah.
Which was definitely controversial. He followed the process.
Right.
He had a special counsel appointed by a Republican look into it.
It wasn't just a whim.
It seems like he's really trying to do things by the book.
Yeah.
Even when it's not politically popular.
It's like he actually believes in the Constitution and stuff.
Right. It's his job to do what's best for the country.
MTG, it feels like she just wants to use power to protect her people.
Yeah. And punish her enemies.
Exactly. And that's dangerous. When people in power think they're above the law, that's a slippery slope.
Big time. It undermines the whole system.
So yeah, this whole pardon thing, it's about way more than just a few individual cases.
Right. It's about bigger questions.
Yeah.
Like, what do we believe in as a country? What does justice even mean anymore?
And how did we get so divided?
Big questions, no easy answers. But we have to keep asking them, right?
Absolutely. And we have to think critically about everything we see and hear.
Challenge those narratives.
Be willing to talk to people who disagree with us.
That's how we move forward.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into presidential pardons. Keep questioning, keep learning, and keep those conversations going. We'll see you next time.